I never meant for it to happen. That's what I told myself. That's what I whispered in the dark every time I waited for a message that came too late or not at all. I knew he had a wife. I knew he had a child. I knew it from the very beginning. And still, I let myself fall. Not because I was cruel. Not because I enjoyed taking what wasn't mine. But because when he looked at me, he made me feel like I existed, like I was not just passing through this world unnoticed. And when you've been invisible for too long, even a glance can feel like love. He was soft-spoken, intelligent. He didn't compliment my looks. He complimented my thoughts. He told me I was unusual, that talking to me made him feel light again, that he hadn't felt this alive in years. And I believed him because I needed to. We met in an evening writing class. I was 26, new to the city, still finding myself. He was 39, confident, stable, married. I told myself it was just friendship. That talking after class didn't mean anything. That his texts late at night were harmless. That the warmth in his voice was just kindness. But hearts don't understand boundaries once they feel seen. He made me feel like I mattered. When I spoke, he leaned in. When I doubted myself, he reminded me I was enough. When I shared my fears, he didn't flinch, he listened. And slowly, I gave him more of me. We never planned to cross a line. But feelings don't ask for permission. They grow quietly in the spaces between silence. The first time he kissed me, it wasn't passionate. It was gentle, like he was sorry for needing it so much. Like we were both just trying to remember what it felt like to be wanted. And I kissed him back. I told myself we weren't hurting anyone. We were discreet. We met in cafes 2 districts away. He never stayed the night. He never mentioned her. I never asked. We created a bubble, soft, isolated, delicate. But even bubbles pop. Somewhere along the way, I started building a future in my head. A small one, a quiet one, just something. What if he left her? What if I mattered enough? I hated myself for thinking that. But I thought it anyway. He never promised he would. But he never said he wouldn't. And sometimes the silence between words sounded too much like hope. One Saturday, he asked if we could just drive for a bit. Out of the city, clear our heads, breathe. We stopped by a lake. He held my hand. I asked him, "Do you ever feel guilty?" He paused and said, "Every day. But when I'm with you, it disappears." And I closed my eyes. Let myself believe that meant something, that That night, as he dropped me off, he got a phone call. His daughter, sick, crying, asking for him. His voice changed, lower, warmer, worried. "I'll be there in 10 minutes, sweetheart," he said. He hung up, looked at me, touched my cheek. "I'm sorry. I have to go." I nodded, but something in my chest cracked. He left, and I stood alone on a sidewalk that no longer felt like mine. I didn't sleep that night. I lay in bed wondering, was I just a break from his world, a breath of air before he returned to the life that still claimed him? And worse, was I okay with that? Days passed, then weeks. He still messaged me, still called me my peace when the world felt too loud, still came by on Tuesdays, still kissed me slowly like it was the only thing keeping him sane. But something inside me had changed. A small, quiet part of me, the part that once begged for his time, began to whisper, "What are you doing here? Is this what love is supposed to feel like?" I didn't answer those questions. Not yet. I wasn't ready to listen, because listening meant letting go. And letting go meant being alone again. And I didn't know how to do that. Not after him. Then came the day that would break the illusion completely. It was raining. Heavy, soft rain that made the city blur. He texted me, "Car broke down. Can you come here instead?" It was a neighborhood I'd never been to before. He sent me a location near his house, said we could just sit in the car, talk. I almost said no, but I went. He pulled up beside the park, smiled, tired, hair slightly messy, shirt unbuttoned at the top, and I loved him again, just like that, like I had no memory, like the rain washed away every boundary. We talked for hours about nothing, about everything. I made him laugh. He touched my hand. He leaned in, then stopped. "I have to pick up my daughter in 5 minutes," he said quietly. I nodded. I opened the car door, was about to step out when a small knock on the back window startled me. We both turned. There she was, a little girl, maybe 5, holding a stuffed rabbit, hair damp from the rain, eyes wide. She climbed into the back seat, and he helped her buckle in, smiling. "Hey, baby," he said softly. "This is a friend." She looked at me, then looked at him, then back at me, and she didn't say a word, but her silence said everything. Her eyes, big and dark and still, were full of something I couldn't name. Not anger, not fear, just knowing, a child's knowing. That instinctive understanding that the world is shifting in a way it shouldn't. that something doesn't feel right, even if no one explains it. She blinked slowly, hugged her rabbit tighter, and stared at me like I was a question with no right answer. And in that moment, everything I had been ignoring came crashing down. I saw her mother in the reflection of her eyes, saw her folding school clothes, packing lunch boxes, waiting for texts that wouldn't come, listening to lies told gently. I saw myself, a shadow in someone else's family. He reached for my hand, but I pulled away. I need to go, I whispered. He looked confused, but he didn't stop me, and neither did she. She just kept watching as I closed the door and walked away into the rain with nothing but the sound of my own breath. That night, I stared at the ceiling for what felt like hours, and all I could see was her eyes, how still they were, how soft, how full of questions I could never answer. What kind of woman do you want to be? Would you be proud to tell this story to your future daughter? The answers made my chest tighten, because the truth was, I didn't want this life. Not really. Not when it meant stealing moments that belonged to someone else. Not when it meant being a secret in a child's story. The next morning, I didn't cry. I made tea, sat by the window, watched the city come alive again, and for once, I didn't check my phone. No waiting, no hoping, no explaining, because I knew this story had already ended. It had ended the moment she looked at me, not with hate, not with fear, but with quiet knowing. That kind of truth doesn't leave you. It settles in your chest. It changes how you walk through the world. And I didn't want to walk through life being the reason a child grew up doubting love. He called twice. I didn't answer. Then he messaged, "I'm sorry. I didn't mean for you to see her. Are you okay?" And I read it over and over, but I never replied, because I wasn't the one who needed to be okay. She was his daughter, his home, his wife, and maybe himself. I deleted his number, deleted our photos, every message, every moment. And then I cried, not because I missed him, but because I missed who I was before I loved him. The girl who believed in love that didn't need to hide. The girl who thought affection should never come with guilt. The girl who once said, "I could never be with someone who has someone else." I cried for her, and then I made a promise to come back to her. Healing didn't happen in one sunrise. It came slowly, in how I chose to stay in on lonely nights instead of texting him, in how I unfollowed his social media even when I wanted to see his face one more time. in how I forgave myself again and again and again. One afternoon, I walked past a park. I saw a little girl playing with her father. He looked tired, but happy. She jumped into his arms, and he caught her like she was everything. And I smiled because I hoped somewhere she was okay. His daughter, the girl who saved me without ever speaking a word. That one look was enough. Enough to end a story. Enough to write a better one. Now, when I think about love, I think about honesty. I think about light. About love that doesn't need to hide in shadows or lie to survive. I think about the kind of love I want my future daughter to see and believe in. And I know now you can love someone deeply, truly, and still choose to walk away because some love is not meant to be held.